Okay, getting ready for Alabama. They're one of the best offensive teams in the country. One of the best three-point shooting teams in the country. Nate's always had a great offensive mind and concepts. They're making over 11 threes a game. They shoot at 45% at home. Yeah, they've been really tough to beat at home. The margins of victory at home are pretty astounding. They were last year. We played them well twice last year. I think we led, let's say, for 60 some odd minutes in those two 80-minute games, and just weren't able to finish. They obviously they're a great team a year ago as well. So we recognize that we got beat twice by them last year, and that's something that at Auburn, when that's your rival, just obviously doesn't sit great. The should be a great environment tomorrow. I would think to this point that I've said it a few times as we've stepped up in play. I think I said it when we played Baylor, and then it maybe next was when I said it when I played Texas A&M, and I think I'll say it now. This is probably the best team we've played so far.
Hey, Bruce, we were just talking to Jalen and Dylan out there, and they said that this team is more equipped to deal with adversity on the road, dealing with a 17-point lead like you guys had in Tuscaloosa last year, better than last year's team. Would you agree with that statement, and do you feel like this team is ready to go into that environment and come out with a victory?
Well, I think Alabama's team had a lot to do with us losing a 17-point lead. I thought that we had played exceptionally well. But they made great plays, and there were some tough calls, and so I would give Alabama the credit. I don't know that last year's team versus this year's team would have. This year's team will have challenges just like last year's team.
Coach, when you have the opportunity to coach a team with such chemistry and such success, who do you find yourself seeking guidance from or advice, or do you rely on your experience from previous successes of teams?
I would say the thing I rely on is input from my coaches and input from the players. I've continued to say that, we're a little better than what people thought we were, but we're not as good as people think we are now, and I still feel that way. What we're trying to do is make sure that we prepare, and that when we get beat because the opponent beats us. How does Alabama beat you? They beat you by knocking down threes. They beat you by making tough twos at the rim. They beat you in transition. They play really hard. They do. And like I said, they play exceptionally well at home. Having just gotten done at Tennessee, which is probably for Alabama, I would think the way Tennessee is built, the physicality of Tennessee, Tennessee's ability to defend one-on-one, Tennessee's rim protection, Tennessee's size, that was a tough matchup for Alabama. And yet I thought, in spite of the margin, Alabama did a lot of really good things. So they're just coming off at Tennessee, playing against a team I think that's built to beat them a little bit. And now they're going to be playing us. So I would say it's a tough time to get them right now. But we know what the things that we need to do. We know the things that they do well. And we've only played 2 road games in the league. And we had a home court advantage against Vanderbilt. And, I didn't think we started particularly well against Arkansas. So this team is our team is not road tested from a standpoint of but we will be in the next 2 weeks.
Yes, Bruce. Players mentioned that the scout team really got after them in yesterday's practice. It was really intense. Are you happy with the way the scout team got after him? Are you happy with the way your players responded?
Yeah, they did good. I thought yesterday, almost always after a day off, we took Sunday. Kids had Sunday off, and on a Wednesday game they get Sunday off. On a Tuesday game, they get Wednesday off. So with the Wednesday game, this weekend last Sunday was off. So coming back, you come back Monday a little bit rusty. I thought the scout team did a good job. They got after us. There's just no way of duplicating the speed and the pace with which Alabama plays, and there's no way of duplicating the quality of their let's just say their backcourt, and the speed and a quickness and athleticism and ability to make shots and plays. And then the front line is they can really stretch you. They can put five guys on the floor, can all shoot the three ball. They're again just really that's the most athletic team we played against so far. Scout team did well. The kid responded pretty well.
Bruce, you talked on Saturday about Chaney and just kind of some of the stuff he did in the game. Do you felt like the last few games he's starting to get more and more confident with his offense, especially with some of the shots he's taking and making right now?
I mean, I would expect Chaney to play well most of the time, and there were a couple of games a week or two back where he maybe didn't play great or he turned it over a little bit. But, man, that's the exception instead of the rule. Chaney is one of our best athletes. He can affect the game on both ends of the floor. I like the fact that he's actually aggressive offensively. Turns the ball over a little bit, but I'd rather have him be aggressive, which tells you that he is confident. I'd like to see him be that aggressive, defending and rebounding and physically using his athleticism more. And we'll need him to. I'll tell you, against Alabama, the best defensive players are going to get an edge in the minutes. That Alabama is they are a dynamic offensive team. And when I say that, it's not that they're a good defensive team, but they're one of the best offensive teams in the country. And the numbers back me up. And so, it'll be all we can do to guard them. And I know our numbers say that we're pretty good defensively.
On Saturdays, something well, really you mentioned more than that, but kind of the process of building this team, taking a guy like Denver who had that big role and saying, hey, you're going to take less here. How were you able to kind of just in hindsight to sell some of the transfers on taking on this more balanced role with maybe less minutes and get them to commit to that?
Well, I think all of our kids that transferred in came from mid-major junior college Division II, all of them. So they were all stepping up a level. So they wanted the opportunity at that level. And I don't know that in the SEC there's a team, this is a good research project, is there a team that doesn't have a high major transfer on its roster? Auburn might be that. We might be that only team. Part of it is NIL and the cost of doing business. Facts. But part of it also is I just love the idea of just, again, Denver and Chad and Chaney and AD as our four transfers, coming in and having the ability to grow as a student athlete with the academic support that they get and the athletic support that they get and the training and the coaching and the facilities and the travel. They're happy to be here and so therefore willing to accept less. At the same time, many of the returning guys could have gone other places. Half my team was recruited by, even the guys that didn't enter the transfer portal were recruited off my team because it's just we won't do it, but that happens. Saying, wait, why would you go back to Auburn for 15 minutes and when you could come here and start?
Coach,
I don't promise guys starts. I promise them opportunities. And so part of the reason why our chemistry is part of what it is good kids, good culture, and I was honest with them in recruiting.
Coach, I want to go off that you have such depth on your team, and you said it yourself, they could go and play more minutes. How encouraging is it for you as a coach to see the fruits of y'all's labor and have guys talking about the brotherhood of this team and how it feels like they're little kids again?
Well, it's wonderful, but I'll caution you and remind you that it's easier to be brothers when you're 16 and 2 or whatever we are. And, adversity can build character, but will reveal it. So we will have some character revealed. And what you need to do is when when that happens, then you need to really rely on that. And most of it, like we've had some timeouts where we're barking at each other and yelling at each other, and I'm screaming at them and they're screaming at each other. It's about being competitive. It's about the desire to win. That's what our focus is. But absolutely, everybody on this team has accepted less in order for us to achieve more.
Bruce, you mentioned how good Alabama is offensively. I mean, it's been that way under Oates for a while. I guess just what do you see specifically? They got Nelson, they could transfer guard as well, maybe a little bit different of a makeup than the past couple years. What do you see out of them that makes them successful on offense?
Well, I think they do a really good job in recruiting and evaluating. I think they get good players and they make really good decisions. And they've got great depth, too. Sears is the only kid that plays heavy minutes. The rest of them, there's great balance. And the difference is Nate's a really good offensive coach. He's got a great offensive mind. That doesn't mean he doesn't have a great defensive mind, but his offense and their score, their pace, it's a strength for Alabama. It's the part of the coaching.
Hey, Coach, this is off topic, but this is Coaches versus Cancer Suits and Sneakers Week. Obviously, every year coaches wear sneakers. We don't wear suits on our staff, but can you just speak on the publicity of Coaches versus Cancer?
Yeah, I mean, the Coaches versus Cancer has been around for a long time. I know Norm Stewart, the great Missouri coach, started the Coaches versus Cancer, and many other great coaches. Lon Kruger comes to mind. Coach Boeheim, so many other great coaches have carried the banner for Coaches versus Cancer. Obviously, it's a tremendous awareness campaign. It's a great fundraising campaign. For us, we do participate in the awareness aspect of it. But since I've been at Tennessee and then here at Auburn, we did Outlive. And sort of did our own initiative to be able to keep the money that we raised through Outlive at home, whether it was at Tennessee in honor of Chris Lofton, my former player at Tennessee who had cancer and survived it, and then just brought that Outlive program because we know the best way to outlive cancer is to detect it early, and the best way to detect it early is to hear reminders like this to go get checked, to get your blood test, to get your prostate, cancer screenings for the guys that are 40 or older, for the women, to get their mammograms and understand the things they got to get checked. Because if you detect cancer early, you can beat it. And we've all got our own cancer stories to tell. Some of them are miracles, and some of them are tragic.
Just asking some of the players earlier about defending Mark Sears. He's been good from beyond the arc and also really crafty inside the season. I know you played him twice last year, but from a defensive standpoint, how much of a nightmare is he to prepare for?
He's a great player. I mean, we tried to recruit him when he left Ohio. I probably should have recruited him harder out of high school. Great player. Can do it from 2, can do it from 3. Incredible competitor. Unbelievable hard worker. Like I often point to a Jalen Williams or a Dylan Cardwell or certain guys and say, hey, if you open up a picture of Auburn basketball and that's the guy that you came to on that page, I'd be okay with that because of their work ethic, because of their things that stand for on and off the court. Sears is a guy I'm sure Nate feels really strongly about his work ethic, his competitiveness, and his impact on winning.